Hi, I'm Adam from First Man Photography, and today I'm going to introduce you to the new Loupedeck Creative Tool Console. I'm going to talk a little bit about the concept and the functionality and introduce you to some of the software that it can control. It's designed to control everything from your photo editing, video editing, music editing, and design. The idea behind Loupedeck CT is to organise your workflow and to boost your efficiency. The concept is based on workspaces that are designed to work with your creative process. And you can break them down by editing stage, project type, or just in any way that you choose. In photo, video, or audio editing, we have different stages of the creative process, and we can apply a workspace to each of those parts of our process. So for example, in Adobe Lightroom, one workspace can be assigned to the start of the process where you might rate your images. We then have another workspace that's dedicated to editing and adjustments and things like that. Then you can move on to another workspace to deal with your export. You can pretty much set up the Loupedeck CT in any way you choose. To set up your CT, the first thing we need to do is to install the software. Once the software is installed, we then just plug it into our computer. It will take a moment to start up, and then to open the software, we just come up to the top and click Open Setup. Each of the supported software comes with a default setting, so you can get in and start editing immediately. We can then explore more of the capabilities of the device by customizing the settings to your own needs. The Loupedeck CT device has two categories of elements. The first are the circular buttons here and the square buttons. They work across all the different workspaces, and you've got normal functions like undo and save. You then have the workspace specific elements like the dials, the touchscreen, and the main wheel here, which change depending on the workspace that you're in. As you open the supported software, the Loupedeck CT will open up on the default home screen. That then shows the default workspaces that are set. You then have the ability to customize that, and we can go into one of the workspaces, and then you can always return to the home screen just by clicking the home button. Once we have our workspaces, we can then assign them to the round buttons there. And once that's done, it will illuminate as green as we have here, just like it does on the touch screen. So if I click on editing there, I can just hit on number 3 there to change the workspace. Within each workspace, I can create several pages to give me access to the different actions and tools. So if we look at the device, I can swipe across to show all those different controls. I then can do the same with the dials, because I have 6 physical dials, and as I swipe down on the touchscreen here, it then gives me access to different tools and actions. The same is also true for the wheel, so I can just swipe across to reveal those different actions. Loupedeck CT automatically recognises the software that you're working with. So as you move through the applications, it will change the workspace automatically for you. What that means is that my editing process and workflow is never interrupted. So for example, as I start in Adobe Premiere here, I can move across to Adobe Lightroom as I start editing my photos, and then take that into Photoshop, and it will change automatically. So as we move into the software, it's laid out in front of us just like this. And over on the left-hand side here, we can see the workspaces that we can assign to the device. So if I just open that up and then click on Main, you can see all the default workspaces down the left-hand side here. And the one that sits at the top, so at the moment that's Browser, that is assigned to the Home button. We can move these around, so the one that you move to the top will be assigned to the Home button on the device. We then have the ability to create a new and custom workspace by clicking the plus button here. We can also click on the little pencil icon here to then rename the workspaces that we already have. You can also fully customize the workspaces that are defaulted on there just to suit your needs. Once we're then happy with the workspace that we have created, you can assign it to any of the circular buttons here. So let's just remove that one from there, like that. Then we then have a spare button there that we can drag one of these workspaces over to there. So let's just put editing onto there, and that is now assigned to the number 1 key. That's in green to signify that it's a workspace. So once we have our workspaces assigned, we then might have some spare space on the circular buttons here. So we have our workspaces assigned to 1, 2, and 3. I can then assign some actions to the remaining buttons, and they show up in purple. So at the moment, I've got mark in and mark out assigned to buttons 4 and 5. You can then customize the rest to suit your needs, and you also can assign controls to the square buttons as well. We then have a second layer by clicking the function button that lets you have a second layer on the circular and the square buttons. We can then customize the touchscreen to suit the actions that we use most often. So I'm coming into the touchscreen here by clicking on touch, and I can then customize these. These on the right hand side here are the different pages. So as I swipe across on the device, it will access these different pages along the side here, and we can change those to suit our needs. If I want to change a specific action within an individual touch page, then I can just drag one out like that, and then go into the actions, and I can select the specific action that I want in the list here, or I can do it by a text search. So I'll just type add edit, and we can just drag that one back in to where we removed it a minute ago. I can then do the same with the dials. So if I just click on the dial tab here, you can see the different dials, and I can assign different adjustments to each dial as I see fit. I can then also create a second page and just control them exactly like I want. So as I assign actions to that second page, I can then just swipe down like we did earlier on. The same is also true for the wheel. So if I click the wheel tab there, I have all those different pages there, and I just swipe across on the device to activate those. If I then click the plus button as well, we can see a whole list here of templates that you can just use to suit your needs. The main wheel is also extremely useful because we can assign touch functions and rotation functions, and depending on the template that you have set, they can work in multiple ways. I want my workflow to be as efficient as I can possibly get it. So sometimes, rather than swiping through the screens to get to a particular control, I can set up and have quick access to that page just through one touch button. So if I come up into the touch screen here, we can see the vignette here. The pages within the device are indicated in blue in the software. So I can just drag that away to remove that, and I can customize it in any way I want. I then come across to the left-hand side here where it says pages. You can see them in blue there, and I can scroll down to the wheel, which is where the vignette is based. I can then drag that across and back up to the touch screen to have quick access to that page. So once I've taken the time to customize my device, I can export that layout so I can move it from, say, a desktop computer to a laptop. So I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to the Loupedeck CT. If you need any further advice, there is a quick start guide built into the software.